There is a moment you do not want to admit, a moment that hurts to recognize. It is when you finally realize that the people closest to you are precisely the ones draining your strength the most. It could be family, it could be that friend of many years. But something changed. Their words cut deeper now. Their presence weighs heavy. Your peace simply vanishes the moment they enter the room. More than 500 years ago, a man observed human nature with eyes no one dared to have. He saw what everyone pretended not to see, and today the truths he discovered will either set you free or destroy you. It depends on what you do with them. This is Machiavelli, and these are the 8 truths no one had the courage to tell you. Have you ever felt the weight of a presence before even hearing the voice? That moment when the door opens and, instead of relief, your body contracts, your shoulders rise, your breathing shortens. Something inside you prepares for impact, though no word has been spoken yet. This is the most primitive signal that exists. It is the body speaking a truth that the mind still refuses to accept. And if you know this sensation, then this text was written for you. Machiavelli, the Florentine thinker who dissected human nature with surgical precision more than 500 years ago, understood something fundamental about power relationships. He perceived that the greatest dangers rarely come from declared enemies. They come from those who sleep under the same roof, from those who share the same blood, from those whose faces we know so well that we forget to observe their intentions. The Florentine wrote that there is nothing more difficult to carry out than to initiate a new order of things. And the new order I propose here is simple yet revolutionary, placing your inner peace above any bond that destroys it. In every relationship that decays, there exists a precise moment of silent rupture, an instant that most prefer to bury in memory, pretend never happened, justify with elaborate excuses. It is the moment when you realize with painful clarity that the people closest to you are precisely the ones who drain your vital force the most. Perhaps it is a family member, perhaps a friend of decades, but something changed in the fabric of this connection. The words that once comforted now cut, the presence that once warmed now suffocates, and your peace, this fortress that should be inviolable, crumbles the instant this person crosses your path. Why do we tolerate this? Why do we allow ourselves to be diminished, drained, slowly destroyed? The answer lies in 3 words that society has transformed into invisible chains: history, blood, and memory. We are taught from childhood that certain bonds are sacred, that certain people deserve eternal forgiveness, that certain relationships must be maintained at any cost. But Machiavelli teaches us a different truth. Blind loyalty is the favorite weapon of those who wish to control us, and the price of this loyalty is, frequently, our own destruction. The first sign that a relationship has become toxic is so subtle that most ignore it until it is too late. It is systematic belittlement. I am not speaking of shouted insults or obvious aggression. I speak of something far more insidious. The comment disguised as a joke, the tone that condescends without seeming to, the laugh that cuts before you finish speaking. You share an achievement and receive a raised eyebrow, present a dream and hear a sigh of disdain, express enthusiasm and encounter sarcasm. They call this honesty, realism, keeping your feet on the ground. But observe carefully. This honesty never elevates. This realism never inspires. This supposed grounding never helps you grow. The Florentine understood that those who constantly diminish others are, in truth, trying to hide their own inadequacy. Belittling is projection in disguise. It is insecurity seeking control. It is envy, wearing the mask of tough love. And the real danger lies not in the comments themselves, but in how we become accustomed to them. We begin adjusting our voice so as not to seem presumptuous. We shrink our dreams to avoid provoking laughter. We silence our enthusiasm to avoid the embarrassment of being ridiculed. Gradually, without realizing, we begin living below our potential, simply to keep the peace with someone who never wished to see us rise. Have you ever stopped to count how many dreams you abandoned to avoid someone's discomfort? How many times you swallowed good news because you knew it would be received with coldness? How many versions of yourself you killed to fit the petty expectations of people who should celebrate your existence? A person who genuinely loves you does not need to diminish you to feel great. Someone who truly values you celebrates your achievements as if they were their own. A true ally does not compete with you. They rise by your side. When someone's presence consistently makes you feel smaller, this is not a relationship. It is a slow, calculated demolition of your confidence. And the Machiavellian response to this is not to argue, defend yourself, or beg for recognition. It is to observe the pattern, recognize the disrespect, and withdraw your emotional access. You cannot force anyone to treat you better, but you can choose not to remain where your worth is repeatedly denied. Respect is not negotiable, and whoever negotiates their dignity has already lost it. This is the first truth. There are 7 more ahead, and each of them will reveal deeper layers of this invisible architecture that imprisons so many people in relationships that consume them. The question that remains is, are you ready to see what has always been before your eyes? Imagine the following scene. You are sitting at the table after an argument. Your heart still races. The words still echo. You know with absolute certainty what happened. You saw it with your own eyes, heard it with your own ears. And yet when you try to confront the person before you, something strange begins to happen. Suddenly, you are the villain. Suddenly, you are exaggerating. Suddenly, your memory is wrong, your perception distorted, your emotions out of control, and you leave that conversation more confused than when you entered, carrying guilt that does not belong to you, apologizing for wounds you received. This is the second sign, the absolute refusal to take responsibility. Machiavelli observed that many princes failed not for lack of power, but for refusing to recognize their own errors of judgment. The same principle applies to personal relationships. People who never take responsibility are masters in the art of rewriting history. They distort conversations, deny things they clearly said, transfer blame with surgical precision, and use selective memory to paint themselves eternally as victims. The cycle is predictable. Blame, deflect, manipulate, repeat. What few realize is that this behavior is not accidental. It is calculated self-protection. Admitting faults requires humility, emotional maturity, and self-awareness. Those who lack these qualities prefer to distort the entire reality rather than confront a single imperfection in themselves. And the price of this ego protection is your sanity. Over time, you begin carrying emotional weights that are not yours. You apologize to end conflicts you did not start. You question your own memory, your intentions, even your character. You feel you are constantly fixing problems you did not create, as if keeping the peace were exclusively your responsibility. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you apologized just to avoid prolonging an argument? How many times you assumed guilt you knew was not yours, just to restore an appearance of normalcy? This is the silent conditioning that toxic relationships impose, and the result is devastating. You begin to believe you are the unstable one, the problematic one, the difficult one. But the truth is different. Responsibility is a sign of respect. When someone refuses to own their actions, they are communicating that your feelings, your experiences, and your boundaries simply do not matter. The third sign reveals an even more subtle dynamic. It is the relationship that only exists when the other person needs something. You know this pattern. When they are in crisis, you are the first person they seek. When they need advice, emotional support, money, or simply someone to vent to, the messages come quickly, the tone is sweet, the attention is total. But observe what happens when the storm passes. Silence returns, warmth evaporates, and you are left alone, questioning why you always feel useful but never valued. Machiavelli warned that we should judge men not by their words in times of need, but by their actions in times of abundance. Someone who only appears when they need something is not a friend. They are an extractor disguised as an ally. Their presence in your life is conditional, transactional, and fundamentally draining. And the hidden danger is how this dynamic conditions you to become a perpetual savior. You answer every call out of guilt. You drop everything to help even when exhausted. You invest emotionally in others' chaos while they invest nothing in your stability. And when you finally reach a moment of need, what do you find? Absence, excuses, sudden busyness, or worse, the veiled suggestion that your problems are not that important. This imbalance slowly corrodes your self-esteem. You begin to believe that your role in the world is to fix, support, rescue, and sacrifice. You forget that you too deserve reciprocity, that you too deserve someone who cares about your well-being even when they need nothing in return. The Machiavellian approach is simple. Observe actions, not words. Someone who values you appears consistently, not strategically. Establish boundaries with those who take more than they give. Limit your availability to those who only appear when convenient. And always remember, your time, your energy, and your peace are limited resources, not public property available to whoever wishes to exploit. Guilt is their weapon. Clarity is your shield. Your energy is a sacred resource. Protect it with the same ferocity with which you would protect anything precious in your life, because no one else will do it for you. And those who benefit most from your unlimited generosity are precisely those who deserve it least. There exists a silent test that instantly reveals the character of anyone in your life. It requires no confrontation. It demands no harsh words. Only an invisible line drawn with clarity. A boundary. Say no just once and observe the reaction. Establish a frontier and see what happens. It is in this moment that masks fall and true intentions are revealed. Because those who genuinely respect you will honor your boundary without question. But those who benefit from your lack of boundaries will do everything to tear them down. The fourth sign is devastatingly clear. People who treat your boundaries as a joke. You establish a frontier and receive sarcasm. You say something hurts and hear that you are exaggerating. You ask for respect and are accused of being dramatic, too sensitive, difficult to deal with. Observe the pattern with Machiavellian eyes. Instead of acknowledging your discomfort, they invalidate it. Instead of adjusting their behavior, they try to make you feel guilty for desiring dignity. They transform your boundaries into punchlines because respecting them would require something they do not possess or do not care to develop. Emotional maturity. Machiavelli taught that fortresses only have value when defended with vigor. A boundary only works when enforced, not when infinitely explained. How many times have you found yourself justifying the same frontier repeatedly? How many circular conversations about the same subject? How many promises of change that never materialized? When someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries, they are not confused. They are testing, and each time you let it pass, you teach them it is worth trying again. A dangerous dynamic begins to form. You become the one who constantly adjusts. You soften your tone to avoid conflict. You tolerate behaviors that drain your energy. You begin to believe that asking for basic respect makes you demanding or difficult. Before you realize, the entire relationship molds itself around the other's comfort, never your well-being. And you accept this because you were conditioned to believe that love means infinite tolerance. But here is the truth no one told you. Healthy people do not do this. Healthy people listen when you say something hurts. They do not question your boundary. They honor it because they value the relationship more than the convenience of crossing your line. When someone treats your boundaries as a joke, what they are really saying is clear. My preferences matter more than your peace. And no relationship can survive, much less thrive, with this fundamental imbalance. Have you ever stopped to calculate the real cost of keeping such people in your life? I am not speaking only of emotional energy. I speak of opportunities lost because you were busy managing crises that were not yours, of dreams postponed because there was no mental space to pursue them, of versions of yourself that were never born because they were suffocated to accommodate others' toxicity. The Machiavellian response is firm, calm, and action-centered. You establish the boundary once, with absolute clarity. You observe the behavior, and if disrespect continues, you withdraw access. Your time, your attention, your emotional presence. There are no interminable arguments, no negotiations that never lead anywhere, only protection of something that should be inviolable, your inner peace. Because the truth is simple and inescapable. If someone ignores your boundaries, they are not misunderstanding you. They are revealing themselves. When they refuse to honor your frontiers, they lose the privilege of your presence. The fortress that is not defended is a fortress already conquered, and you were not made to be territory of occupation by those who do not respect your sovereignty. There are discoveries in life that hurt more than any direct insult. They are those that reveal emptiness, where we expected to find support, coldness where we imagined warmth, competition where celebration should exist. And perhaps the most painful of all is realizing that someone close, someone who should root for you, secretly desires your failure. You feel it before you understand it. It is the smile that does not reach the eyes when you share good news. It is the subtle shift in energy when you speak of an achievement. It is the loaded silence that replaces the enthusiasm you expected to find. The fifth sign is envy, disguised as indifference. Machiavelli understood human nature in its darkest layers. He observed that envy does not arise from another's success itself, but from the unconfronted insecurity of the envious person. Your growth exposes what they have avoided. Your confidence highlights their doubts. Your progress threatens the stability of the narratives they tell themselves to justify their own stagnation. You will recognize this pattern in responses to your progress. When something good happens, they minimize or immediately compare with something else. When you mention an opportunity, they find reasons to doubt. When you accomplish something significant, they quickly shift focus to themselves or make comments that dim your moment's shine. They never say "I am proud of you" without attaching a reminder of their own struggles. It is a subtle, almost imperceptible way of transforming your achievement into an inconvenience. What makes this particularly destructive is when it comes from people who should be your safe harbor: family, longtime friends, people with whom you shared vulnerabilities. The betrayal weighs more because the bond should be a place of safety, not veiled competition. And envy, when unrecognized, frequently evolves into sabotage. You will notice they discourage your ambitions under the pretext of realism. They plant seeds of doubt disguised as concern. They minimize accomplishments with false humility. Or in the most severe cases, they gossip behind your back while smiling to your face. There's a curious fact about the psychology of envy that few know. Studies show we feel more envy toward close people than distant strangers. We envy less the billionaire in the magazine than the colleague who received the promotion, less the celebrity on television than the friend whose relationship seems to work. Proximity amplifies comparison, and that is why the people most dangerous to your growth are frequently those who are closest. You cannot build a peaceful life surrounded by people who secretly hope you remain small. When those around you feel threatened by your growth, you will begin to shrink without realizing. You will share less, dream less, dim your own light just to avoid their discomfort. But your life was not made to be limited by others' insecurity. Your potential does not exist to be managed according to the comfort of those who lack courage to pursue their own. The Machiavellian response is not resentment, confrontation, or attempts to prove worth. It is silent protection of your own energy. You reduce how much you share with these people. You keep goals guarded. You surround yourself with those who celebrate your victories sincerely, not conditionally. A true ally does not compete with you. They rise by your side, finding inspiration in your success instead of threat. When someone's support disappears at the exact moment you begin to rise, believe what that silence reveals. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your success. Some should watch from afar. Others should not even know the show is happening. Do you remember the last time you were completely yourself? Not the edited version, carefully calibrated not to provoke reactions. Not the character who calculates each word before speaking it, but you, whole, without filters, without fear. If this memory seems distant when you think of certain people in your life, that is not coincidence. It is evidence. It is the sixth sign manifesting with brutal clarity. You are walking on eggshells. A relationship becomes emotionally dangerous the instant you realize you have lost yourself within it. When each phrase needs to be mentally rehearsed before being spoken, when each reaction must be measured, each truth softened, each emotion suppressed, you are not in a relationship. You are in a psychological minefield where one wrong step can detonate unpredictable consequences. And walking on eggshells is not a sign of sensitivity or consideration. It is a sign of fear. And fear should not exist in the presence of someone who genuinely loves you. Machiavelli understood that the greatest servitude is not that of physical chains, but emotional dependence on another person's moods and judgments. You know this pattern intimately. Before speaking, you rehearse phrases in your mind. Before disagreeing, you analyze possible reactions. Before expressing anything real, you ask yourself, will this upset them? Will they twist my words? Will I be punished for being honest? Your nervous system operates in a state of constant alert, scanning mood changes, tone shifts, invisible emotional traps. This is not connection, it is survival. People who create this environment do so through subtle but devastating tactics: emotional manipulation, effective blackmail, unpredictable reactions that keep you permanently off balance, passive-aggressive comments that wound without leaving evidence, punitive silence lasting days, use of your vulnerabilities as ammunition in moments of conflict. Their inconsistencies dictate the relationship's temperature, and instead of confronting their own instability, they transfer to you the responsibility of managing it. You become the caretaker of others' chaos. The seventh sign frequently accompanies the sixth: systematic disrespect for your time, effort, and priorities. They arrive late without apologies, cancel plans at the last minute, expect you to reorganize your life to accommodate them, interrupt when you work, diminish what you value, make you feel guilty for not being available on demand, and when you express frustration, they accuse you of overreacting instead of acknowledging the impact of their own behavior. The Florentine observed that men guard money ferociously, but waste time carelessly, though time is the only thing that can never be recovered. People who genuinely value you understand that time is life, and when they disregard your time, they are disregarding your life. They assume your world revolves around theirs. They expect flexibility they never offer in return. The danger of this dynamic is how silently it conditions you to devalue yourself. You adjust your schedule to avoid conflict. You abandon plans out of obligation. You prioritize their needs above your own ambitions. You apologize for being busy, for having goals, for having a life outside them. You shrink your world to fit theirs while they continue living freely, unaffected, unaware of the sacrifices you make. The Machiavellian response combines clarity with courage. You begin to observe without reacting emotionally. You separate their feelings from your responsibility. You speak with firmness, calm, and truth. You reclaim control of your time. You stop over-explaining, reorganizing your life, apologizing for having boundaries. You begin using simple phrases: "I am not available. This does not work for me. I already have commitments." Not with anger, with clarity. And you allow distance to grow where fear has taken root, because no peace is worth the cost of losing yourself. If you cannot relax around someone you should love, that is not love. It is emotional captivity. If your time is always negotiable to them but theirs is sacred, you are not being treated as an equal. You are being treated as a convenience. Of all the signs we have explored until now, the eighth is perhaps the most revealing. Not because it is the most dramatic, not because it involves confrontations or harsh words, but because it is the most honest. It is the proof that needs no arguments, does not depend on interpretation, cannot be distorted, manipulated, or denied. It is simply this: how you feel when you distance yourself. Pay attention the next time you create distance from someone you suspect is toxic. Observe what happens to your body, to your mind, to your breathing, to your thoughts. If you feel relief, calm, clarity, if your shoulders relax and your chest opens, that is not coincidence. It is your entire organism confirming a truth that your mind still hesitates to accept. Peace is data. Relief is evidence. Your body does not lie. Machiavelli taught that we should consult what has happened to predict what will happen. So think, truly think. When was the last time you spent time with this person? How did you leave that encounter? Tense, drained, disturbed? Did you replay the conversation in your head for hours, sometimes days, questioning whether you said something wrong? Did you feel the need to recover afterward, as if you had crossed an invisible battle that no one else could see? These reactions are not exaggeration. They are not drama. They are not being too sensitive. They are precise indicators of emotional misalignment. They are signals your nervous system sends because it recognizes threats before your consciousness does. Healthy relationships simply do not leave you this way. Real connection does not provoke anxiety. True love does not manifest as obligation, confusion, or exhaustion. If you need to recover from someone who should be your refuge, something is fundamentally broken. What frequently happens is too subtle to perceive in the moment, so gradual that you do not even notice the transformation. You begin to shrink your personality around them. You measure each word before speaking it. You limit your joys because you know they will be received with coldness. You withhold your dreams because you learn they will be ridiculed. You may not even realize you are doing this. You just feel, in some inexplicable way, that it is safer at a distance, that you breathe better when they are not nearby, that you think more clearly when their voice does not echo in your mind, that the version of yourself that exists away from them is more authentic, more alive, more free. This is your nervous system communicating a fundamental truth long before your consciousness is ready to process it, and ignoring this signal has a cost that accumulates, silently, day after day, until you look in the mirror and no longer recognize who looks back at you. Machiavelli's pragmatic philosophy teaches that the soul instinctively recognizes what aligns with its flourishing and what corrodes it. What is good for your nature brings harmony. What is not brings disturbance. Peace then becomes the most reliable compass you possess, not the elaborate arguments, not the justifications you create to keep someone around, not the guilt that holds you prisoner. Just this, peace. When someone's presence generates chaos but their absence brings clarity, the relationship is speaking for itself. There is no need for complex analyses. The evidence is in your own body. Have you ever stopped to notice how many times you ignored this evidence? How many times your body screamed and you pretended not to hear? How many times you chose the familiarity of suffering over the unknown of freedom? People who are right for your life add something: stability, inspiration, calm, a feeling that you can be who you truly are without fear of judgment. They do not bring constant tension, chronic unpredictability, or persistent self-doubt. They do not force you into emotional recovery mode after every interaction. They do not make you question your own sanity. The imbalance you feel around certain people is not your flaw. It is not because you are too sensitive, too difficult, too demanding. It is a signal, a gift from your own organism trying to protect you. And the most dangerous thing you can do is ignore this signal for too long. Many people remain in draining relationships out of guilt, out of habit, out of loyalty to a shared history, out of fear of the void they imagine finding on the other side. They convince themselves that known pain is better than unknown uncertainty. But here is what Machiavelli understood, and few have the courage to admit. Loyalty to the past should never cost your future. The history you built together does not obligate you to destroy the history you can still build with yourself. You owe no one access to your mind or energy if their presence harms your inner world. It does not matter how long you have known each other. It does not matter what you went through together. It does not matter what society says you should feel. If someone's presence systematically corrodes your peace, you have not only the right, but the responsibility to protect yourself. Distance is not punishment. It is protection. Space is not cruelty. It is clarity. Silence is not abandonment. It is preservation. The Machiavellian response to all of this is simple. Trust the evidence of your own peace. Honor your emotional reality without apologizing. Create distance without needing drama or elaborate explanations. Choose environments, relationships, and people who help you remain aligned with your best version. And allow what is harmful to simply fade, without pursuing closure or explanation that will probably never come in the way you need it. Some doors need to be closed not with anger, but with gratitude for what they taught and firmness about what you no longer accept. If distance brings you back to yourself, that relationship was costing too much. Peace is the proof. Always trust it. Here is what it all comes down to. After everything we have explored together, the central message is clear. Relationships should strengthen, not drain. Bring clarity, not confusion. Growth, not guilt. Peace, not emotional chaos that consumes you from within. When close people repeatedly cross your boundaries, minimize your feelings, take without ever giving, or make you shrink to maintain a connection that only works for them, that is not love. It is erosion. And erosion, when ignored long enough, destroys absolutely everything from the inside out. First your confidence, then your self-esteem, then your identity, and finally, your ability to recognize your own worth. Machiavelli reminds us, across the centuries, that protecting the inner world is not selfishness, it is responsibility. It is the most fundamental act of self-preservation that exists. Your mind is your kingdom, the only territory over which you have absolute sovereignty. Guard it as you would guard something sacred, because it is. Distancing yourself from people who damage your peace is not cruelty, not coldness, not lack of heart. It is maturity. It is the conscious decision to stop negotiating your worth with those who never intended to. Recognize it. You now have 8 unmistakable signs to guide you. 8 moments of truth that reveal when a relationship has crossed the line from meaningful to harmful. 8 lenses through which you can examine every connection in your life and finally see with clarity what perhaps has always been before your eyes. If one or more of these signs resonated with you, if something inside you moved while listening, if you recognized faces, voices, situations, do not ignore that recognition. Do not bury it again. Do not go back to sleep. Your peace is speaking to you, perhaps for the first time in a long while, or perhaps it has always spoken and you simply were not ready to hear. Now you are. Listen. As you move forward from this moment, choose clarity over guilt, strength over attachment, inner peace over outdated loyalty, and always remember, engrave this somewhere you cannot forget. Distance does not break true relationships. It only exposes those that were never real to begin with. As you move forward, choose clarity over guilt, strength over attachment, inner peace over outdated loyalty, and always remember, distance does not break true relationships. It only exposes those that were never real. If this message touched something in you, leave your like, not for me, for you, as a marker of this moment when something changed. Share it with someone you know needs to hear this, even if you cannot say it directly. And if you wish, comment below. It can be anonymous. It can be just one word. Because your story, your experience, your journey might be exactly what another person lost in the same labyrinth needs to read to find the courage to take the first step. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Turn on notifications. And remember, not just now, but tomorrow and the day after. And in every moment when someone tries to convince you that you ask too much for wanting to be treated with dignity, I choose peace.